Canadian wine lovers, we're live. It is Christmas Eve, and we are Christmas Eving. So that's why we're a little bit earlier than usual today, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. But guess what? We are going to unwrap one of the most exciting bottles of this whole Advent calendar of different Canadian wines. And this one, you really got to tune in at some point.
Absolutely. Mira, thank you so much. Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across the country. Wow. Reveal number 11. Holy smokes. It's been almost 2 weeks that we've started that process. Today and tomorrow, the last two. So Merry Christmas to everyone. It's Christmas Eve. Today we are revealing one of the rarest wine across the country. This is a wine from a producer that we featured, I would say, probably 2.5 years ago. This very producer was but he's the producer of one of our top wine of the year. I would say 3 years ago, and we're very excited too. Today, I think we're going in a different style because when you do 12 wines for 12 nights, you want to showcase different style, different region. We're going back on the Beamsville bench, but with a Appassimento style wine, which is in a technique that is very well known in the region of Valpolicella, in the Veneto region on northern Italy. A few producers across Canada use that technique to enrich, to concentrate flavors, and to provide an incredible result on a yearly basis. So we have 100% Cabernet Sauvignon Appassimento today, a 94 point Carl's Wine Club, and I am really excited. So Mira, what a whirlwind of event in the last 11 days, and I'm challenging
Yes.
a lot of fun, so much fun, right?
Yes. So what I was saying is that with this one, you've revealed a little bit about it, but sorry, I got a little cut off there earlier from a glitch here, but you will want to tune in to this one at some point to learn about this wine because it doesn't have a whole lot of info on the wine on the bottle. And it's also hand signed. It's a very special bottle. So you'll want to know a little bit more about it. And it's also, like you said, one of the best wines we've tasted all year. And it's very interesting how it's made. So
Interesting. And
afternoon.
also, Mira, what's the most interesting of all is how it unfolded, how we ended up having 2 cases of this very specific wines, which is not available on the market, which is it's been out of stock for a while. But the owner had 2 cases unlabeled in his cellar, reserved for a party, reserved for a staff party. And he said, you know what? This is really freaking cool. How about we give it to you? Sorry, I don't have a label. And Mira, with her genius, said, who cares about the label? Just sign the bottles. So here you go. Here we ended up to have that very wine in our. Yeah.
All right. Should we unwrap it?
Oh, Mira, are you on mute?
No, I'm not. Are we good?
Are you on mute? No?
No? Can you hear me? Ba-ba-da-da. You can't tell from the top what it is, but Jennifer, I think you're right. There you go. It is a hand-labeled, hand-signed bottle of the 2020 Obsidian from Rennie Estate. Can you hear me, Carl Boucher? Yeah, you guys can. I think Carl's having trouble, so maybe you come down this time, Carl. So Rennie Estate Winery has been a small, tiny batch project in Niagara done by Graham Rennie. And at first, it was a collaboration with Malivoire, I believe, Shiraz Matiar, and now it is at the Niagara Custom Crush Studio, which is a project that Graham has taken on. It's pretty cool. It's actually a place where a bunch of small boutique premium producers of Niagara wine make wine together. And if you go there, I think you can taste like multiple wineries in one place, which is pretty neat. And so you guys know this signature because Johan and their friends Tane and Laura, they are quite familiar with this winery. I think might be involved with the winery or the Custom Crush Studio. So you guys know it well. And yeah, like Carl said, a super rare bottles, a very highly rated bottle that you can't find anywhere. I don't think this is one that can be reordered, right?
No, it's not. There's not.
Yeah, so there you go. Let's take that one out. All right. So should we hear from?
Not yet. Not yet.
We're gonna do a little recap.
Yeah, but that's why, like 11 days in. I mean, I just want to test myself if I can go back from day one and bring them all back all the way to day 11, because I think now we're one more to go. We've done multiple different grape varietals. This is the first and the only one grape varietals today, Cabernet Sauvignon, that we have two different expression of the cab, and it's very, very exciting. Now let's go back to December 14th, 5 o'clock Pacific. We started with the 2017 Noble Ridge, the Grand Reserve, the one, 93 plus points, Carl's Wine Club, an incredible sparkling traditional method wine, which was rated 96 points by John Schreiner, 100 points by Catherine McKishney. So we started it with a bang from Okanagan Falls traditional method. Day number 2, we went to the Beamsville bench with the Sacred Series Cabernet Franc from the Organized Crime, unreleased wine, 93 points, Carl's Wine Club, gold medal from Wine Line, and yet so beautiful expression of Cab Franc from the Beamsville bench. Day number 3, we came back to the Okanagan. From Oliver, BC, we had a back vintage library 2018 Malbec from Riverstone, one of our farmer winery of the year. 93 points, Carl's Wine Club, a rich texture, dark fruit, ripe, ready to drink Malbec from Ted Kane and his team at Riverstone. One of some of you favorite of the whole lineup from a text that I got. Night number 4 was the centerpiece of our Advent calendar, one of the most special one, a 2007 Stratus White Blend, a blend of Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, some Semillon, Viognier, and a splash of Gewürztraminer, made with 85% of new French oak at this time, all the way 18 years ago. This wine, I rated it, if I can remember correctly, 93 plus points. And yeah, just an absolute beauty, just a very special wine to taste, with lots of life to go. We tasted that wine for 4 or 5 nights in a row after the fact, and like refused to go down. This wine was just refusing to go down. Very special. So wine number 5, we went after the Stratus. We came back all the way to Oliver for the second time with Maverick Estate Winery, where we had the Bush Vine Syrah, brand new release, which is a wine that I gave an open score from 93 plus to 94 plus. That's going on my top 10 wine of the year for the incredible potential that wine. And we had that night a side-by-side with the 2020 vintage that I gave 93 plus points a couple years ago. Yannick Livera, the general manager at Maverick, gave us access to the last 2 cases of the 2020 as well. Still a few bottles available. So that was night number 5. Night number 6, we went back to wine number 6. Wait a minute. That
Yes,
was
we went over to
yes,
Clausen
that was
Chase.
our friend Keith Tyers at Clausen Chase with the South Clo 2022. Also, like everything that Keith is doing, we had to have an amazing Chardonnay in that Advent calendar, and going with the Prince Edward County terroir was a very appealing option for us. And Keith again, like had such a good and kind interview. Always like to share wines, share our thought with Keith Dyer in that 2022 South Clo. That same richness, that same salinity that we're used to, that very same vineyard. So awesome. So that was on Friday. The Saturday we went with Fairview Cellars. Iconoclast 2015 Cabernet Sauvignon from Fairview Cellar, a brand new release 2015. One of my top 5 wine of the year, and 95 points Carl's Wine Club. This one is available for a few more bottles if people want to stock more up. But what an incredible showing for one of the picture perfect vintage in the Okanagan. We had a fun interview with Daniel Hutton, the new owner at Fairview Cellar, which she took over Bill Eggert, one of the legend of winemaking in the Okanagan. So that was for night number 7. Night number 8, we did, oh my God, now 8 was on the Sunday, and the Sunday was an interview with, no,
Oh, what?
I
It was
oh
with
yeah, okay,
Tightrope.
Tightrope.
on
There
the
you go.
Sunday.
Sorry, I blanked here. Yeah. So 2024 Tightrope.
He's not used to me like I like do like 10 things on the screen. He's
The
like, what's happening?
No, I just thought I will probably
Yeah.
be able to recap them all, and I forgot this one. So
no.
93 points Tightrope Riesling. We had Lindsay
O'Rourke,
yes, the owner winemaker at Tightrope, to discover that unicorn Riesling, because there's barely no wine produced from the 2024 vintage. So we're so excited to get at least one wine from the 2024 BC vintage. For now, after the night number 9 was Black Market Wine Company with our friend Rob Amersley, and the this first ever release of his Merlot from the Conviction Ridge, the Estate Vineyard. So Rob, we were tasting that super structured 92 plus point Merlot from Caledon, a awesome expression of Merlot from this really small town in central Okanagan. After that, on the 10 days of Christmas, we had Black Bank Hill with a 93 plus point Viognier. That was, I would say, yesterday. Oh my God. Woo. Great interview with Tyler Emerson, the owner, who shared his career, his path to purchase his vineyard on the Lincoln Lakeshore appellation of Niagara. So yeah, here is the first 10 wines of our pan-Canadian Advent calendar that we've released so
and now
far.
with wine number 11, the Obsidian Cabernet Sauvignon. It's very interesting how they make this wine. It's sort of a proprietary method, like Appassimento, where they dry the grapes, but done in a very special way that they developed in Niagara, right? So we're going to hear a little more about that, I'm guessing, with the interviews.
Well,
right?
So what was developed in Niagara was the chamber, the drying chamber, who was made with the collaboration of the Vineland Institute. So Graham Rennie, the owner, really patented that that drying chambers with the Vineland Research Center. The method of drying the grape has been done for hundreds of years in the Veneto region, while Graham was in the midst of his career in finance. The president of the LCBO, a good friend of his, really set a trip to Italy for him, and he stayed at Massy, which is one of the most known Amarone producer in the northern Italy, which are like they produce their Amarone with the Appassimento style, and Graham fell in love with the process. Coming back, he decided to use that method to make his small batch of Rennie wines, everything, well, not everything, but almost all of the big grape varietals, all of the big Bordeaux varietals made Appassimento style. He does the Chardonnay, the Christine Chardonnay, and the Paradox Pinot Noir in the traditional method. But his Bordeaux blends, so the Colleen, the G, the Super G, the Obsidian, and one more. He does it Appassimento, the Onyx. He does it the Appassimento style. Usually around 100 days of drying, which what's happening here is the grape after harvest, they're drying from 100 days. So they're losing at least 30% of their water content in the grape. So the grape shrink, the flavor concentrate, and it provides you with a wine with incredible concentration. Some people will like it just like as a port, which is usually have also a higher percentage of alcohol, maybe a little bit more of a higher residual sugar, but very bold, very rich, very dense, very concentrated, which is the typical thing for Amarone.
There you go.
So there you go.
So should we bring Graham Rennie on for
yes,
this interview?
we should. We should
hear more about it. Cheers, guys.
There you go. Christmas Day reveal number 11. We're almost at the end of our Pan-Canadian marathon of the Advent calendar. And I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Graham Rennie, owner, founder of Rennie Estate Vineyard. Graham, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and welcome to the Pan-Canadian Advent Calendar Reveal 11 show. How's it going, man?
Fantastic, and Merry Christmas to you, Mira, and the gang. Really going well. Great year. Super vintage behind us. Starting to wind down, and I got to get wound up tonight because, of course, Christmas Eve, grandkids coming over. I can't get too relaxed. I gotta get pumped up here because there's a lot of energy going to be flying around the house.
That's why we're doing that early on, so we can let you go and crack a couple bottles of Christine Chardonnays, and maybe some Super G's are gonna be around. So
you got the Colleen, at least one Colleen.
At least one Colleen. I mean, hey, back in the day, #1 wine of the year, Carl's Wine Club, the Colleen 2016, my friend.
Still amazing wine. Still amazing.
Is there any of those bottles left in the cellar? Maybe
just with your name on them.
Yeah. Hey, for our people now who are tuning in, I mean, like we did a lot of stuff together back in the day. And a few years ago now, I mean, the club have grown, new members have joined. So I would like to introduce to our new people, maybe make sure that we know about Rennie Estate Vineyard and how everything started about, because I mean, you've been traveling for investment all over the world for decades, and I think, like, from my understanding of your story, you've always been a very big fan of Appassimento wine. You had a friend who was the president of the LCBO, set you up on an amazing trip in Italy, and you had the chance to visit the crown jewel of Appassimento production in Italy. And when you came back, you said, that's it, I'm doing it. And something like that. So can you please tell your story?
Sure. So, I spent most of all my life in the investment management business, institutional investment management business. Started a firm in 1987 and traveled extensively, globally, loved wine. I love Appassimento. Amarone wine in particular, virtually all big full-bodied wines from all over the world. But Amarone I really, really liked, and just happened to have, I bought a vineyard here on the Beansville Bench in 1997. And we planted it in 1999. And a decade later, 2009, I was traveling with my wife Christine in Italy, and as you say, a friend of mine was the chairman of the LCBO at that time, and he set up a trip, a couple of appointments for us in Italy, and and one of them was at the Masi winery, and we rented they had an agriturismo facility that you could rent to stay in. So Chrissy and I stayed there for a couple of nights, and because of the introduction, we got kind of a very, very deep dive on how you make Amarone. And Andrea Del Sin was the head winemaker then, and he brought me into their studio and did a deep, deep dive. And, he said some words to me over lunch that totally resonated with me. It was about why they were drying their grapes for 100 days or more, simply because they couldn't ripen their three indigenous grapes, Corvina, Rondinella, Molinera. They couldn't ripen them to the level that made big, full-bodied wines. So if they just vinified those grapes, they make Valpolicella Red, sell that wine for $12 a bottle. But if they dry the grapes for 100 days and then barrel age them for a period of time, they made Amarone. They could sell that for, $65 to $200 a bottle. So huge value added through this process of appassimento. And so I went back home, and it was 2009. We were moving onto our property. We had built a home here. And I thought, you know what, I got to move from lowly grape grower. I was selling all my fruit for a decade. And I thought I should move from lowly grape grower to lowly vigneron, just make a little bit of wine. And so I called up my friend Martin Malabar at Malabar Winery and said, hey, would you be okay if I made some wine at your place? And Shiraz Modiar, well-known winemaker at Malabar, and still now they're GM.
Oh, they're amazing. They're absolutely. I love Shiraz. He is so entertaining. It is such a great guy.
And he had never made a Appassimento wine either. And so he said, well, I never made it. But Andrea Del Sin said he would help us. And so we made our first batch in 2009. And in 2010, boom, I said, I got to do this commercially, and started my Rennie Estate wine brand. Meanwhile, I was still working full-time, running my investment company. And I was able to have Shiraz, collaborate with Shiraz to make this Appassimento wine. And along the way, we started off by drying the grapes in a greenhouse. And after 2 years, we realized we were losing too many grapes to gray rot. So we approached Vineland Research and Innovation here, in a think tank here in Vineland, and put up some money. And we got some money from the government, and we crafted a program to build a proprietary Appassimento chamber. And then I bought the first one, which is the one that's on our property at the Crush now. And through that process of slowly drying your grapes through this Appassimento process, you essentially lose 35% of your water volume, and you craft very full-bodied, luscious wines with soft tannins, ready to drink, after you release them, but they have huge aging potential. This 2020 Obsidian that you have in front of you, easily going to go 20 years. I'm drinking wine from my cellar now that I made back in that 2009 vintage. Still very, very powerful. Still a long way to go if you want it to last. So yeah, pretty exciting kind of 10 years in the biz in making wine with Shiraz over at Malabar. And then in 3 years ago, I sold my company with a couple of investors. We bought the old Stony Ridge winery, converted it to the Niagara Custom Crush Studio, which is an incubator for up and coming virtual wineries. Have 14 tenants there now. Mira came down to help us in the early days with our whole positioning, marketing, social media. A lot of fun.
I still remember the day that the sign arrived, and we put the sign right down at the production facility. I still have the picture. I'm sure Mira's going to put the picture up on the live right now. Yeah.
It's been a blast. It's been a blast. It's been a fast 3 years. We went from basically 2 tenants, Stony Ridge and Rennie, to now 14. Have some really, really cool small lot producers at our place. And we just hired Adam Curran full-time as our head winemaker. I understand you just did an interview with him. So
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's,
we're just closing. We're just like yesterday closing the feature with them. Like we've been having their wine on feature, their 2018 slate for like the last 10 days. Like that's yeah. Like what a great pick. This guy is an absolute rock star.
Rockstar. Yeah, he's great. Very, very
He's
thoughtful.
amazing.
Great winemaker. Yeah.
So that's the story of Rainy Estate. I had to go back because I think we're missing a point here. I want to go back of your at the Aaron Pond vineyard that you have on the Beamsville bench. You got a phone call from a very well-known viticulturist and a legend of the industry when you were starting the vineyard to approach you, say, "Hey, can we get our hands on some of your fruits?
You're talking
Can you
about Don?
please
You're talking
your
about Don?
relationship with Don, please?"
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's not many people at that level in the wine industry in the history of
Yeah.
the Canadian wine industry. So that to me, what it tells me, it's the spot, the Aaron Pond Vineyard is located. When someone like Don give you a call to say, "Hey, but can I get my hand on some of the fruit?" That means it's a pretty, really, really freaking prime spot, Graham. So tell
Yeah.
us about how everything. I love that story so much.
Yeah. It's a slightly different story than what you described, but you're right. It's about Don Trigg. So, this says a lot about, you can be the smartest guy on the planet, you can have the greatest plan on the planet, but luck plays such a big part in all of our lives, right? To be in terms of success. So, being in the investment business, I purchased this property in 97, planted in 99. So it's in 2000, I just had 1 year of growth, and I'm at this investment conference in Toronto with RBC. I've been invited to be there in the evening, and the chap that invited me introduced me to Don Triggs and just said, "Hey, Don Graham, Don, and Graham owns a vineyard in Niagara somewhere." So Don, of course, said, "Where?" And I said, "Oh, on the Beamsville bench." He goes, "Oh yeah, where?" I said, "I probably don't know. It's on Aberdeen Road." He goes, "Don't tell me it's top of Aberdeen Road on the left-hand side, that 50-acre site." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh my God, Graham, that is the El Primo spot on the bench. Are you building a winery?" And I said, "No." "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I planted it. I own it. I got to figure that out." And so he goes, "Let's do a deal. I am building a winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake with my name on it, and I would love to source fruit from the bench. Your varietals are absolutely perfect. Let's do a deal. What do you know about viticulture?" And I said, "Nothing." He goes, "Well, I know everything. I'll put my A team on your property." And I said, "As long as I can get a little bit of the fruit, if I want to make wine, not a problem." And we kind of had a handshake deal an hour later, which 25 years later is still in place. And so they manage the vineyard here to the very highest standards, which are contractual, and they take all those grapes for their very high-end Grand Reserve wines. I'm able to source 10 tons a year for my project. And I cherry pick exactly the rows that I want, for Christine Chardonnay, which I know you and Mira enjoy. Those are some 8 or 12 rows right outside my kitchen here. And then for Cabernet Sauvignon, it's from a special little west-facing aspect on the north end of my vineyard that gets a little more sun than the rest of the vineyard. So I'm able to, being here 25 years, really understand the vineyard and really understand where some of those best little sections of the vineyard are for the kind of wine that I want to produce.
Graham, we had the privilege when I spent a week with you at the Crush. We did the little Rennie experience together, and we took like 18 or 20 members to your property, and It was just before harvest, just before harvest. We had the chance to eat. To taste the grapes right off the vines of the Christine, and tasting the Christine Chardonnay in the glass and eating the grapes. It was a wonderful experience to have these beautiful golden Chardonnay from the first 12 rows of your kitchen, like you were just talking about. I remember, it was amazing.
I think it really makes, a difference for consumers who like wine, to really understand at the end of the day, this comes from a plant that's on someone's vineyard, and to be able to go to that vineyard and see the site and see where this bottle of wine, originally came from, and to understand the life cycle of that vine really makes a difference, especially with Christine Chardonnay and our Paradox Pinot Noir are, all hand harvested, wild fermented, very, very hands off processing, right? So you're really just getting whatever's coming out that vine into your glass in its purest form. And to come here and be able to walk around and see that really, I think, makes an indelible mark on a consumer.
Absolutely. And we're talking about also there's a factor that changes every year. It's what Mother Nature gives you every single vintage. And as you know, as you mentioned, Niagara is a roller coaster of it's unpredictable. Yeah, you never know what you get. 2020, you got everything that Santa Claus. On your Santa Claus list this year, I would like degree days. I would like dryness. I would like long summer. I would like a dry fall. Check, 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 check. Here you go, Graham.
Every year. That's on the list. That's on the list every year, right? That goes.
That's it, exactly. But 2020, Santa Claus showed up.
He delivered. He delivered. Yeah, in spades. That's right.
Yeah. So here you are. So that's what we have this year. Here in our Advent Calendar, it's the 2020 Obsidian 100% Cabernet Sauvignon Appassimento.
Yep.
So right now, what I would like to do in the next 5, let's talk about the wine itself. 2020 vintage, we just mentioned, and I think it's been very well documented. And now that 2020 was, I know, like the Adnan Isel mentioned that like really early on, like late fall, that it's gonna be the vintage of the century. And I mean, it's still for big reds like you produce, it still stands to this day. And I mean, like this wine is a baby in this in itself. No more left anywhere. There was none. And at some point you said, Carl, I think I have 2 cases sitting in my, but there's a problem, Carl. There's no label on that. I said, Graham, if it's the biggest problem ever, that's fine. Just sign it and let's do it. So here we are, 2020, unlabeled bottle from Graham's personal. And now I have to apologize because I was asking the question earlier. There's like you have 1 or 2 bottles left for yourself. So I wiped you out, right?
You did. I'm so happy that I was able to do that. I mean, this was just happened to be a run, a couple of cases where we ran out of labels. And so, what do you do with those wines? Well, you serve them, at your home, you serve them at your Christmas party. I had actually targeted to bring a bunch of these bottles to our Christmas party last week. And when you called me and said, you were looking for this wine, and we agreed that it would still make sense to send it to you, but sign it, that was brilliant. And I'm so glad I could do that because, listen, this wine is a very powerful small lot expression of what I call Niagara Bench Cab Sauv. And it's using an Appassimento technique, right? Commonly associated with big Amarone wines from Italy. And it's really 57 cases, probably quite a bit less than that because I think I had a bunch here at my house that I've consumed. I only make this single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon or Colleen, some of these single varietal wines in exceptional vintages like 2020. Otherwise, I'm blending them into the G assemblage. And I would say what's really interesting, and you mentioned it earlier, the fact is we have to deal with vintages other than 2020, 2016, 2012, 2007, right? We have to basically take what Mother Nature gives us and make something interesting. And the Appassimento process really helps you get through some the tougher vintages. And so I look at like 2000, what I call the cooler summers, like 13, 15, 17, and 19. Our Appassimento wines are still very delicious. I mean, you get, it's all a matter of relativity, right? And so this is definitely at the absolute peak of what we can do with this process from my vineyard in a great year. I think this is about as good as it gets. and the ability to age these wines for many, many years.
Oh, like decades.
Is
Especially this. I mean,
yeah,
this is like, I mean,
it's huge.
this is that is the start. It starts to crawl right now. Like it's just such a baby. And so, how long? What's the time in the chamber for this one? The appassimento, the drying process for this specific year.
So in 2020, I think we harvested around October 16th. So probably harvested at around 22 and a half bricks, 23 bricks. And we dried the grapes for over 80 days. And there's no, by the way, when you're drying these grapes slowly, there's no formula that says I'm going to dry for 60 days or 75 days. It's all a function of when do those appassimento grapes get to about 28 and a half, 29 bricks in the chamber. And when you hit that, sometimes you hit it sooner rather than later. All depends on that, the thickness of the skins in that particular year, the water content that particular year. So in this case, I think we harvested October 16th. I think it was about 80 days in the chamber. And then it was, 2 weeks of fermentation to get to dry. And then a couple of maybe 25 months in barrel, oak barrel 50-50.
So 50 new, 50 neutral, or 50 new, 50 second fill, or?
Yeah, that's right. Second fill.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's all you're trying to do is intensify the flavor and the texture and the phenolics of what you're getting out of the vineyard. So you're really just trying to provide an expression of your vineyard in a very concentrated way. And interestingly, when you dry the grapes, the Mossy people have a huge scientific group that work within their structure, and a bunch of scientists running around testing all kinds of things on grapes, drying of grapes. And there's a natural malolactic process that occurs when grapes go through appassimento, and it actually converts some of the sugars in the grape, and it reduces some acidity in that grape that often doesn't happen until you go into fermentation. So you're getting a little bit of softening, a little bit of conversion already in this appassimento process. So that helps to everyone understand why these wines are so smooth. You don't have a lot. This is pure Cabernet Sauvignon from Ontario, but there's no tannic, a little bit of tannin just from the natural Cabernet Sauvignon skins and from the barrel, but it's not intense, and it dissipates very quickly with food. Really a great food wine, for sure.
But the acid, then what's impressive to me, that's the acid level, because in my search of super premium and not perfection, but the high standard of a luxurious and premium wine. I mean, you cannot be in the premium business without delivering a wine with acidity, because too fast, too quick, you lose everything, right? That's the backbone, that's the structure of the wine. And I absolutely love the acid level of that wine. Things are still up, things is lifted, everything. Like, that from the first sip, not from the tannic structure, but from the acid structure, I know this wine will go for 15 years without the shadow of a doubt. So to me, that's what I'm looking for: texture and acidity. So from this, I'm like, okay, now yes, you're playing in the right playground, in the right sandbox here in the super premium, because you got the critical ingredient to be playing in that sandbox. And wow, this is wonderful. Oh my God, I love the complexity, obviously richness, that's a given. We expect richness in that kind of wine, but there's a density, concentration, absolutely beautiful. 93 plus points per gram, right on the verge of the 94. And I'm sure this wine will be, if I retaste this wine, and to be honest, I have to, I kept one set of these wines. I have 12, one of each bottle that I saved for Mira and I to put in the cellar. I want to see where's that age. And this wine, I want to reopen that in 5 years to see how it goes.
You know what? I would say that is one of the things that you don't see very often. But I had your friend Rick down here do that recently, where he had reviewed a wine from the 2016 period vintage, big year.
What did he think of the Colleen, my number one wine of the year?
Oh yeah, he loved that too. He loved that
Okay.
too. Yeah, he rated that very highly. But he went back and he retested the 2016 G, because even though I had made it way back then, I never released it. I kind of cellared it for a couple of years before we released it. And I said, you should just try this now and see what you think. And he did it. It was so interesting because he had the opportunity to do what you're going to do. And that's not something you see all the time, where writers go back, critics go back and actually taste the wine 5 years later or 10 years later. You see it on occasion, but it's a wonderful thing to do, because it really demonstrates, I think, the value of buying carefully some Ontario producers' wines that have ageability. Because the wines, it's not like I'm going to say they get better, because that's hard. It's all relative, right? So it's your own.
They evolve. I think that's the way to put it, right?
Yeah, and you get a different experience. And we all want great experiences. So you can have an experience with this wine in its current state. You open it tonight; it's going to be delicious already. 6 years old almost. And but if you wait another 5 years, you're going to get a different experience. Probably. Yeah. I won't say it would be better, but different, and as pleasant an experience. Yeah,
that's it. And hey, Graham, I want to know, like you're getting ready for the action tonight. What's the Christmas Eve tradition at the Rennie? Are you guys more of a? Because for me, I grew up North Quebec. Everything was the 24th. Christmas Eve was the night. Like, that's where you open the gift, Santa comes, the kids are all over the place, the turkey. The Christmas Day, it's more of the leftover and the relaxing. I don't know how it is at the Rennie.
Oh no, it's wild here for a couple of days, because we have grandchildren that come over. My son Evan, his kids come over, and it is high energy, right? You got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and it just. Are you kidding me? We can't even put the presents under the tree tonight. We were told no. Normally, forever, we put Christmas presents. We build up the tree over a couple of days before Christmas, so everyone sees the presents. No, we can't do that, because it's going to drive the kids too crazy. So there's no presents under the tree right now. But our tradition for dinner is tonight. We do filet mignon. I get the whole filet, and we roast it. And we have some amazing wines. We'll have Christine Chardonnay for sure. My daughter Colleen will be here. We'll have the Colleen. We'll have probably Super G. And then tomorrow it's more traditional turkey and ham. And then you'll appreciate this, being Quebecer. On Boxing Day, we have the best place. Next time you're here, you got to buy some. They freeze them. Tourtière, unbelievable tourtière. With just because no one feels like cooking at that point, we throw them in the oven, and they're fantastic.
That's what I make for Christmas. That's from my grandma's recipe.
Oh, amazing.
My kids, that's like I can't get. Now we do Christmas on the island with Mira's family. They're Romanian, and guess what? I get they're requesting the chicoutimi tourtière. So it made it all the way across the country with so my traditional northern Quebec dish, yes, tourtière is like sacred on Christmas.
And I gotta tell you, when you have tourtière, with all those savory spices and the various meats that are in the pastry, I tried all kinds of different wines. There's no question that the Appassimento wine is the absolute best pairing for something like that, because it's hard to pair a wine with a pie like that with all these spices. But I can tell you the Appassimento wine tourtière goes beautifully. Of course, it goes well with anything that we're serving over the next couple of days. So
that's amazing. And on the international level of wine, are you a Bordeaux guy, or do you have a little sweet outside of the Amarone section? I mean, this is a given what you're doing, but is there any section of the world that you're looking for something as a wine lover?
Well, I would say, before I was producing wine under my own label. Yeah, I mean, I was hugely Italian. I I love Southern Rhone wines, of course, big full-bodied wines, and California wines. But to be honest, at this stage, I have a cellar of wines going back to 2009, and I can't get through them. I know that. So there's no point in buying other wines. I just kind of, I mean, I would far rather go into my cellar and pull out a 2011 G, which is every time I open it, it's like, wow, it is early stage wine I made, but just incredible. Yeah. So I generally don't, I mean, I get gifted wines from friends that are from France and Europe, from Europe and from the United States, but I generally just stick with my own wines.
Your own wine. Do you have
Yeah.
a favorite around on the Binsville bench, a wine that you really enjoy? Probably the wines of Malivoire.
You know, I would say, sure. I mean, Martin makes a spectacular wine, but if I'm gonna buy some wines, where I'm buying, and I just did this weekend, a perfect example. We had our open house. We had 14 producers in the winery, all pouring their wines, and at the end of the night, we had about 200 people come through, and after that, I went to all the different producers and just tasted some of their wines. I was absolutely knocked out by one of our producers, Paradise Vines. I never bought their wine before, ever. And I tasted their 2024 Pinot Gris, which they have fermented on skins. And I was just totally blown away how great it was. So I said, I got to buy some. And it's unusual for me, but I bought some other Pinot Gris, and I bought some of their, they had a party wine, which is a blend of different whites. And then we have a small little producer who made a delicious single vineyard Pinot Noir. So these are small little, producers that are in embryonic stage, but they're making some amazing wine. So that's typically, if I'm going to buy wine, I think that's where I'm going to go versus the big brands that are all out there that you know, right?
You know that they're going to sell out anyway.
Yeah. So, when you guys come down, we'll introduce you to some of these new players.
Oh, absolutely. We should be there in February. So we're already planning some fun stuff for February. So we'll definitely be in touch early January with you and your team so we can put something together. We're due. I mean, like you guys had, Rennie, the Colleen 2016 was the Carl's Wine Club Wine of the Year, top 10, the top #1 3 years ago. I would love to retaste what you're doing, and I would like to start dabble into like what's your tenant, like all of these amazing little producer at the Niagara Custom Crush can do. I'm super excited for that too. So
great.
Graham, thank you so much. Merry freaking Christmas, my friend. I'm so glad, and thank you for taking some time. Now you need a nap before the grandkids shows up. Okay, go have a nap, and after that you're on for the rest of the night. So Graham, this is Graham Rennie from the Granny Estate at the Niagara Custom Crush Studio. Graham, thank you so very much, my friend.
Over and out. Happy Christmas.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, goodbye everybody.
Cheers. That's awesome. Super interesting. And it prompted Scott and Dana to open a different Appassimento style that they like from De Simone Vineyards in Niagara. They're saying the Stallion that they opened hasn't aired, so it will improve yet. The Rennie is more like a full Amarone. Yeah, I mean, we haven't tried De Simone. Or maybe
last time we tried the Simone Mira was the with the Cabernet Franc, I believe, or maybe no. You know what? No, that was the Red Blend Marathon that we had from the Simone. We have their flagship Meritage.
Yeah,
that's the last time we tried the Simone, and I mean, it's hard. It's very hard to find another Rennie quality. To be honest, like we've tasted lots of Appassimento. I mean, Foreign Affair makes it some fantastic Appassimento style. There's many, but at the level that Rennie makes them, that's the bar is extremely high. And if someone has another, I would say, suggestion, I'm willing to listen. But to me, Rennie is a very top of the line for sure.
Totally. And we're hearing Big Head also makes Appassimento. It's true. Foreign Affair does Appassimento. The difference with Rennie too is he's created that chamber that's like a very special way of doing a passimento, kind of modified to Niagara. So yeah, definitely an amazing example. And having him go study at Massey in Italy to see exactly how they're doing it. Dana's asking, does he still make the obsidian, and can you get us a newer one?
So it would be interesting to follow up with Graham on that. Maybe he has some 23 sitting in barrel right now, because 23, if there's any 23 should come out of barrel soon. 22 might be in bottle if 22 was a, let's say, good enough vintage to make single varietals. He doesn't make single varietals all the time. But what is interesting is the G assemblage, which is Bordeaux blend of all of his single vineyard, which is an incredible representation of that. Maybe, Mira, we should crack a bottle of G in the next couple days around here, because we have one or two in the cellar. That would be really cool to do that. I
That would be
haven't. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm kind of craving one of his big wines in the next couple of days. That might be a fun thing to do. So
very
yeah.
Christmassy. I do like my big reds around this time of year. Like they're saying, tortillere, if you're having something like that with all those different flavors in there, big red is the way to go. So yeah, Big Head does have Capso by Passimento, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He does. He does. The the he has, how's that called? The very big, not the very big. Anyway, he has coupled classification, and yeah, he sure does have some appassimento. But yeah, hard to find something like Rennie at the level that Rennie does it, and we were so thrilled to have that 2020 Obsidian 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. Capsule was the only grape varietal that we duplicate during our advent calendar. This one and the 2015 Fairview Cellars, the Iconoclast. So two Cab Sauv in this 12 days of Christmas. So now you have a hint that tomorrow it's not going to be a Cab Sauv. But yeah, no, very,
There
very,
you go.
so much fun. And what I wanted to say, darn it, I had something that I want to mention about Rennie. Anyway, so next time
Maybe it'll
probably.
come to you. Great to see you guys. Merry Christmas. By process of eliminations, Daryl thinks day 12 should make him smile. I think so too. I think
I
you're
mean,
on.
Daryl, you've been waiting for that day. He's been waiting for that day. So
Yep, it should be good. Just popped 2 tortillas into the oven. Now to find a bottle of Amarone. Yes, if you open an Amarone from Italy, this one that you've got, the Obsidian, will be an interesting side by side. All right, I wanted to say we're going to do our draw. One of the things you can win is a signature virtual experience. We've just posted our new tour dates for the Okanagan this year. We're doing 4 tours, like you see here. These are not like normal wine tours. You're going behind the scenes. You're drinking wine in vineyards. You're doing long table dinners by the lake with a chef. Like these are really fun and really like bucket list experiences that you can't really get any other way. So what you can win tonight is one of our insider guides coming up starting as early as this Sunday. We've got virtual events that really help you dive deep into BC wine, deep into Niagara wine, the insider guide to Canada's wines from coast to coast, and the insider's guide to Canadian Chardonnay. So you can get tickets. I believe they're $49, including tax. And today you could win one. So let's bring up that wheel of names and see who wins either that, or you can choose an Enovino, or you can choose chocolates or a surprise bottle of wine. We got lots of options for you.
you're surviving, Mira?
Yeah, my voice is starting to go. I'm sick.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see who wins. Da, 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 da. Johanna in Vancouver, in Coquitlam, I think they're in. Yay, congratulations, Johanna. Good to see you guys. They stopped in on one of our earlier Zooms, events here. So yeah, Merry Christmas, you guys. We'll be back on tomorrow. We realize today is Wine Wednesday, and we have not missed a 5 p.m. Pacific Wine Wednesday in like 5 years. So we'll still jump on very briefly to wish everyone a Merry Christmas around then. Carl Boucher.
Oh, Mira Boucher. So yeah, this is probably the biggest wine of the Advent calendar. So you can have a little bit of that post meal as well. That can cut through anything you have on the table, and also very good with cheese and dessert. So 100% Cab Sauv Appassimento from Rennie. And yeah, tomorrow we're going to be doing our reveal for the last one. So looking forward to see you all, Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members. See ya tomorrow.
Cheers.